Welcome back to Wednesday Night Live. I'm Ralph Lillig. We're glad you're aboard tonight. We have a very interesting program for you, but as I do every week at this time, let me start off with our community bulletin board. And as I do, I'm going to read, as I do every week, the mission statement for Compassion and Hope Pregnancy Center, 478 HOPE. Compassion and Hope Pregnancy Center is a Christ-oriented, nonprofit ministry offering life-affirming alternatives to abortion and compassionate care to those who face pregnancy and abortion-related issues. It couldn't be simpler, and every week I ask you, at the same time I ask you, won't you please see what you can do to help the Compassion and Hope people? They're very small. They don't get our tax dollars. They don't get huge. They do get a small amount from United Way sometimes. They have one paid staff, but they do wonderful work. And as I've often said, and I don't say it lightly, they're doing God's work. They're there to help a young mother perhaps bring a new life into the world. Perhaps a young mother that can't talk to her family because of the situation. There are so many things where a young mother may need compassion and hope. Please call them, area code 208-478-HOPE. You'll be blessed, and you'll feel good about it too. Also, I've been telling you about this just the last couple of weeks, something that I think you'll be very happy to get involved with. This is it's called Casting for Warriors and Their Families. Matter of fact, I heard a radio spot the other day. Whoever did the read for that, really good. Really got my attention. They did a good job on it. This is at Camp Perkins, and it's a combined effort with Grace Lutheran Church and Faith Lutheran Church. And I'll just read a little statement to you. It says, a weekend of relaxation in God's creation and reconnection with God's Word for those who serve and gave. The weekend is for combat and or wounded warriors and their families to spend time in the great outdoors, is hosted by Grace Lutheran and Faith Lutheran Churches in partnership with Camp Perkins. And this camp has been going just a few years now, and it's doing wonderful work. I got to talk to one of the veterans who had recently attended it, and he's a single amputee, and he has had some problems with the amputation. He needed some kind of a distraction, something to get his mind off it. What a great way to do it. He and his wife were able to enjoy a weekend. He couldn't speak highly enough of it. Now, here's who to contact. And I forgot again, every weekend I tell you the same thing, or every week I should say, please have a pencil and paper handy because I'm always giving you information on Casting for Warriors and Their Families. The actual camp is going to be August 28th through the 30th, but you're going to need your reservations in no later than July 25th. Now here's who you contact. Get hold of Carrie, I do this every week, Karen with a C, Karen Elliott at 221-3243. Karen Elliott at 221-3243. Casting for Warriors and Their Family. What a wonderful experience. You may be a warrior, wounded warrior, or otherwise who could use some help here. Contact Karen, and she'll get you hooked up. And if you can help in some way, contact them to see what you can do there. Also, starting next Monday, we'll have the annual Bannock County Republican Women's Constitution Day Camp. Now, this has been going for about, I think, 6 years now, 5 or 6 years. What a wonderful opportunity for your children to learn about the Constitution, to learn about the struggle that brought us to being a nation. I'll just read the press release, just hopefully it'll be in the paper tomorrow. The Bannock County Republican women are once again hosting their annual Constitution Day Camp for kids ages 7 to 14. The camp is being held June 15th, that's next Monday, through the 19th. The campers will perform a musical play, Take Your Hat Off When the Flag Goes By, on the evening of the 19th. The children will learn how our country was founded, why income redistribution is unfair, what it was really like at Valley Forge, how and why the United States Constitution was written, and why it is still relevant today. They will meet King George and the Founding Fathers. They will have snacks and learn about foods of the early Americans. There are games and other outdoor activities such as reenacting the Boston Tea Party, and boy do the kids get into that. And confronting King George, and they really get into the confrontation with King George. Plus, the children will each receive their own personal copy of the United States Constitution. The Pocatello Honor Guard will present the colors for the children on Tuesday and teach them the proper way to handle and fold a flag. The Honor Guard will also present the colors at the evening performance of the musical. The camp begins at 8:30 each day and ends at noon. Now, if you haven't already registered, register as soon as you can. I'll give you the names and numbers of a couple of people. You can register at the door Monday, but you'll need to be there at 8 o'clock. quite honestly, the camp fills very quickly. They have room for about 60 kids, and last year and the year before, they actually had to, well, they didn't turn anybody away. They stretched a bit. So you'll want to get there as early as you can. So this is Wednesday. You might want to try to get this done before Monday. The camp will be held on the lovely grounds at Maridale Park at 5740 South 5th Avenue, Monday through Thursday, and at Caldwell Park on Friday. The musical, Take Your Hats Off When the Flag Goes By, will also be presented at Caldwell Park at 7 p.m. Friday. The children will be raising money from the sale of treats at the musical to donate to a wounded warrior. Each year they select a warrior, a wounded warrior, and they do something special for that particular wounded warrior. The cost for this is the great part. I always love to say this because it's just great. The cost for the entire week, including snacks, is only $15 per child. If you're interested, it is not too late. Now, here are the people to call. Here are the phone numbers, so be prepared to copy. You may know these ladies. Just call Lorraine Orem at 244-2906. Lorraine Orem, 244-2906, or Sue Ann Hodge at 233-1378. Sue Ann Hodge at 233-1378 to register early, or go to the Maridale Park on Monday, June 15th at 8 o'clock and register on the first day of camp. Bannock County Republican women take pride in actively teaching our young people about the principles and truths our founding fathers incorporated in laws, which are clearly written in the United States Constitution. Our children deserve to know history as it happened, and not revisionist history as it is taught in too many places today. Give your child the gift of truth and the ability to stand on the principles of our founding fathers as they navigate life in a politically correct world. And that, again, is the Bannock County Republican Women. The Bannock County Republican Women are a national award-winning organization. They've been around for a while. There's a new group that has started up that is basically trying to, I don't know what they're trying to do, but there's only one Bannock County Republican Women, and they're the ones who are teaching our children the principles of good governance of the Constitution. And finally, I'll remind you again, now every year the Marine Corps League in Pocatello has a golf scramble, and that is the fundraiser for the Marine Corps League and for their mission, which is to help Marines and their families, FMF corpsmen, and they also help other military, the other VSOs as needed. Every year they have the golf scramble. This year it got rained out. It was June 15th or 16th, got rained out, so they were able to reschedule it. Now here's the new drawings on the 16th annual golf scramble. It will be June 27th at 2 p.m. at Riverside. So write that down, June 27th, 2 p.m. at Riverside. And you know, I don't know how the registrations are coming along, but I know they always, last I heard we had something like 50 registered. So don't wait till the last minute, because it doesn't get too crowded, but it can well, we won't run out of room. So now they're going to have, these are 4-person scrambles, and they'll have prizes for first, second, and third. I saw the prizes. They're pretty cool. And it's only $60 per person. That includes a bag lunch. And you can't beat that. That includes the greens fee. So now here's who to call for that. Call Stan Brangham. And many of you know Stan at 237-3607. Stan Brangham at 237-3607, or Ron Tapia at 785-3422. Ron Tapia at 785-3422. That's the annual Marine Corps League Golf Scramble, and you'll be able to buy tickets for the rifle raffle. This year, this will be the 3rd year that they've done this. Now, the first year they had a pistol. The second year they had an M1 Garand, and these are service conditions, so they're ready to take them hunting if you want to. This year it'll be a rifle and a pistol. And the way it works is you buy as many tickets as you want. They're only $10 a ticket, but you get 2 bites at the apple. If nobody wins that first round, if you don't win or nobody else wins, your ticket goes back in the pot to do it again until somebody wins. And that person who wins gets their selection. They can take the Garand or they can take the pistol. It's their choice. You get another shot. They're going to have a second drawing. So you get 2 bites of the apple for $10. You can't beat that. Again, call Stan Brangham, 237-3607, or Phil Clifton at 241-0594. Phil Clifton at 241-0594, or Bud Smalley, many of you know Bud, 221-7783. 221-7783. Guarantee you it'll be a lot of fun. The drawing will be held on July 4th, and hopefully that'll be at the fairgrounds during the annual the annual July 4th celebration. Okay, that's the community bulletin board. Last week, I left you deliberately teased with what I think is going to be, I think you're going to find this some fascinating information. We have the pleasure and the privilege of having an in-studio guest tonight to talk about something that you don't see much in this community. In fact, you rarely see it unless somebody's on an enemies list and they really want to hurt them, and then that's this politics. But you don't see investigative reporting in the Idaho State Journal. I don't know if they lack the guts or if they lack the skill, but for whatever reason, you never see investigative reporting in the Idaho State Journal, which is a shame because you and I are being cheated by not seeing in-depth stories on a lot of this stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on in southeast Idaho, certainly here in Pocatello. Well, one of our friends, and who has been on this program before, has done a piece of investigative journalism. I think you're going to find it fascinating. So without further ado, let me introduce to you Lance Earl. Lance, welcome again to our program.
Ralph.
Glad to have you. I'm glad you made it in the light rain.
Glad to be back. Yeah, nearly drowned.
Yeah. For those of you out of the state now, you don't know, we've been having rain now since, we're going on a month. On and off, sometimes heavy, sometimes light. I haven't had to turn my sprinklers on, which is a blessing because water prices are 4 times higher than our neighbors. So the good Lord's been taking care of my lawn, and I just have to get it mowed. So, but Lance has quite a drive to come in here from, beyond American Falls. And what's the name?
Rockland.
Rockland.
Rockland. Yeah.
So it's quite a drive. So we're glad to have him. Now, Lance, are we actually viewing this this picture right now on the screen?
We are now, it looks like.
There we go. All right. Now, this is an interesting picture because, well, Lance, what's interesting about this picture?
Well, I first saw this on Facebook. It was a Facebook post by someone unknown to me. I just found out yesterday it was Karen Calisterio, who is a real patriot from northern Idaho. And this got me interested. It pictured these 11 legislators, and it said one of them had committed a crime. And so I got nosing around, I got poking around, and I really want to shout out to Karen. Thank you for the heads up, because this is how liberty works. Yeah. Somebody sees something that's questionable, they raise a flag, somebody else looks. But anyway, I began to search, and my search took me to Boise and then to northern Idaho and back here to Pocatello.
We can take that picture down now. Thanks, guys.
And what I found is that the story was true, and that a legislator did in fact do some unspeakably unconstitutional things to someone who lives right here in Pocatello.
And it was interesting when I read the article. Lance has written this. It was a difficult article. You shared this with me, and I just wanted to share this with our audience. It was difficult to write because it's rather intricate, and it's a little convoluted. And I have to applaud you for actually making it readable, because you look at it, and the first draft I looked at it and I thought, well, I think I know what's happening, and I think I know the players, only because I know a couple of the players in here, but I wasn't sure. And when you rewrote it, then I thought, oh yes, everything fell into place. Now I understand. Now walk us through this. Walk us through the genesis of it. You started out, you got this thing on the internet, and it piqued your curiosity. And what actually, you said somebody said that there was something unlawful that had occurred, and where did you go from that?
Okay, well, what I learned right off the bat is, and this is where it gets a little convoluted, so I'll try to make this make sense. But there was a bill that was being pushed by Representative Fred Wood and Representative Kelly Packer. Fred Wood chaired and Kelly Packer co-chaired the Health and Welfare Committee in the House. And this bill, essentially what it did is it would strip virtually all of the naturopaths in Idaho of their credentials, and it would leave them literally, completely, totally unemployed. I'm not sure of the reason why they would want to do this. Fred Wood is a retired physician. He doesn't like alternative solutions, but we need alternative solutions. So anyway, this bill came out, and it threatened virtually all of the naturopaths in Idaho.
Now let me just interject here. In Idaho, many naturopaths are also doctors of chiropractic medicine. And so then many of them go hand in glove, as I understand it. So in stripping them of their ability to prescribe homeopathic medicines or natural medicines, they also would actually interfere with their ability to treat their patients to some degree.
Well, it depends. If they are a naturopath only, then it would strip them of all of their abilities to do business.
Right, they'd be completely out of work.
But here in Idaho, we have two pieces of code. One is the naturopathic code, which gives them the right to prescribe these naturopathic remedies, and the other is the chiropractic code, which gives them virtually the same rights. And so anyway, what happened is Dr. Jason West of the West Clinic here in Pocatello realized that his naturopathic credentials were being taken away. And so he started to fight against that. I mean, and why not? He went to school, he worked hard, he's earned these credentials, and he doesn't want them stripped just because someone says that they should be.
Of course.
The crazy thing is that while they were working on gutting the naturopathic law and getting rid of naturopaths, Representative Kelly Packer was assuring Jason West that he could continue business as normal because he could still do the same thing under the chiropractic code. Now, what I learned as I put this story together is while Kelly Packer was promising him protections under chiropractic code, which is it's called Rule 20, so when we refer to that later on, Rule 20 is the chiropractic code. She was promising him these protections under that code, and at the exact same time, she and Fred Wood in the Health and Welfare Committee were working to strip Rule 20 from the chiropractic code, meaning that while she was promising him protection under this rule, she was working to deny him protection at the exact same time.
Now, as I understand it, and I hope I'm not getting ahead of it, as I understand it, ostensibly what they were doing is they were consolidating the licensure within just a few schools. They were saying, these are the schools you have to go to or you can't get licensed. Am I correct on that?
Right. And so in essence, any physician that got their credentials at any other school, and basically it was primarily one school out of Oregon, if they got their credentials at any other school, they were gone. And the thing that is concerning is the Attorney General wrote an opinion paper and said, if this bill passes, naturopaths who have been operating legal in the state for years will be thrown out of business. So I mean, it had some far-reaching effect, not just that naturopaths would lose the right to work, but that people would lose their health care providers for no real good reason that anybody can seem to identify.
You know, it's interesting too, because it's interesting that this should become an issue at this time. It's interesting to me because just today I was reading in the Wall Street Journal about various medical treatments and new things that they're trying. One is a new cholesterol drug that they're about to approve and all that. More and more, science is turning to, for lack of a better term, folk science. The science has been around for eons for answers to the questions they haven't been able to answer with all their fancy chemistry. For centuries, people have wondered how, the Chinese are renowned for using herbal medicine. Well, that's naturopathic. Same idea. Sure. And it works. Now, just because we Westerners don't necessarily understand it doesn't mean it doesn't work. But there are a lot of people, and it's becoming more and more popular in this country. This is a form of healing, a form of treatment that is becoming more and more widely accepted and understood. And here again, I heard an article the other day, a news article, about Dr. Baer, the guy who invented what we now call aspirin.
Sure.
And how he came about doing this. And it was because of a particular plant that was being prescribed to natives to take care of headaches, and he took the derivatives from that plant and made what we called aspirin. But the natives still use that plant.
Right.
They've been using it for centuries. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, so this is not like it's new. It's not like it's gob science. This is a real thing that helps a lot of people. And then for some reason that we don't, at least I don't understand, somebody in Boise has got a wild hair up their nose and has decided that it not only has to be regulated, which it was already, because
Sure.
you had to have
You had to have
credentials, but now they want to super regulate it and confine it so that to make them happy, you can only get your credentials from this school, and any others is just out of the picture. Do I understand that right?
That's my understanding.
Okay, and it doesn't make sense to me. Well, I shouldn't say it doesn't make sense to me, because it kind of does make sense to me.
Well, it does when you recognize that if these bills go through, then we are all completely regulated by the dictates of federal dictate.
Yeah.
We don't get to choose our health care, the path that we want to take. Yeah. And the thing that's important to understand is, in a free country, we have got to be free to choose our own path. Yeah. And that has got to include health care. And even if we make bad health care decisions as we chart our own course,
they're our decisions.
It's my life, it's my body.
That's right, it's our decision to make.
I must be allowed to do that, or we are not free. And that's really critical to understand.
Well, I don't mean to, I hope I didn't get you off course here, because
No.
Okay, so then let's move forward with where your investigation took you.
Okay. Anyway, as we move forward, and all of these things that we're going to talk about just happened over, most of them happened over just a few days. After Kelly Packer promised him that he would be protected, so just don't worry about it, go away, leave me alone, I will take care of you, I've got your back, because I am your representative.
Yeah.
She moved on, and she sent him another email, and this was 4 days after the first email, and she said, all right, we're getting really frustrated with you folks because you won't back away. So we have drafted new legislation to not only take the credentials away and with using the naturopathic law, but now we're going to go after the chiropractic law as well, which literally would reduce every one of our chiropractors, who are also naturopaths, to glorified massage therapists. And so here we see, one day she says, don't you worry, you're protected under Rule 20. Just a few days later, okay, we're taking that away too. Or at least we're sure thinking about it. So back off and leave us alone, or we're going to get you. It was essentially...
It was an implied threat here.
It was an implied threat,
Yeah.
and it wasn't a blatant threat yet, but stay tuned.
Yeah. The key word. Let me just show you something here. Now, when we're talking about certain people in the legislature, they put me in mind of, I know you've heard them, you've seen them on television, you heard them on the radio, these fast talkers that talk, they do the bottom line. They have to do this product disclosure after they make an advertisement, and they speak so rapidly, you can't understand a word they're hearing. They're saying, all you're hearing is some cracking and hissing, and occasionally a word will pop into your head. But this is their disclaimer, and this is how they get by with saying, we did it legally. Josh, are we queued up on that? Here's kind of what Kelly Packer and friends were doing.
And since I am a lawyer and you may not agree with some of these concepts, here's the disclaimer. The previous or following inferences, portrayals, material disclosures, or ad-libs you may or may not have heard and not get do not necessarily demean the NTLA, MCA, banking, film processing, laboratory services, pharmaceutical distribution office, products and services, consumables distribution office, anyone in this room tonight, including but not limited to their neighbors, friends, and if for any reason any of my material or jokes cause any normally sane person to laugh in the middle of a drink, causing said person or persons to spew milk, water, coffee, and alcoholic beverage, any other liquid or solid through their mouth or nose, resulting in a stain, spill, or other such damages may occur. Neither are the aforementioned persons are indemnified against, cannot condone, therefore will not be responsible for alleged harm, loss, pain, and suffering, misfortune, hurt, wound, bruise, blow, accident, havoc, mischief, or ego damage to actual person or persons, or their expensive clothing worn on this occasion to impress their friends, co-workers, or bosses, including but not limited to an act of God and not and certainly not dependent upon tax, take, title, personalized upon security based on individual disappearance, delivered today to a customer near you.
Now there's Kelly Packer, or her surrogate, is saying, don't worry about it, everything's okay. And then 5 days later, we're going to nail you, pal.
We might. You better back off.
You better back off. We're frustrated with you. We're going to fix you.
You know, actually, as I listened to this gentleman speaking, I thought he spoke a little bit slow compared to some of those I had to deal with putting the pieces of this story together. So anyway, crazy things that began to happen. Now remember, just a few days prior, Kelly Packer said, "Don't worry, Rule 20 will protect you."
Right.
Well, then there was the second email, "Hey, maybe it won't if you don't back away." Then, a few days after that, the Attorney General responded to an inquiry from Representative Woods, who is the chairman of the Health and Welfare Committee, and Kelly Packer is the co-chairman. But the Attorney General responded to an inquiry. Woods was looking for reasons to make Rule 20 go away. He wanted to invalidate it. He wanted to make it illegitimate so that he can scrape it away.
This is the committee chairman we're talking about.
This is the committee chairman,
yeah.
Fred Wood. So, you know, this Attorney General letter came back just a few days after Packer said that she would protect him, and the Attorney General, it took him some time to put it together. So it seems to me that Kelly Packer knew full well that they weren't just talking about it in committee, but they were already taking steps to strip Rule 20, the rule that she promised would protect.
Well, it'd be
Jason
quite
West.
a leap of faith to think that the Attorney General would be doing something without having spoken to the committee chairman and the vice chairman.
Right.
So well,
like I said, I mean, we know that he did speak to them because this was an Attorney General reply to Fred Wood. So anyway, they're moving forward pretty fast now, and Jason West, Dr. West, is not backing down. He doesn't want to lose his credentials on the chiropractic side or the naturopathic side. I don't blame him. So this takes us to March 16th. Again, just a few days later, and in fact, just to give you some idea, all of the events that I'm talking about here happened between March 9th and March 16th to this point.
Right, this whole thing started on the 9th, and we're only at the 16th at this, and we've got a ways to go.
We do. So anyway, Jason West is sitting in the Lincoln Auditorium at the Capitol building in Boise. He's waiting for his opportunity to testify before the Senate Health and Welfare Committee. Sitting next to him is Julie Hart, his paid lobbyist.
Who's West's paid lobbyist?
West's paid lobbyist.
Okay.
So he is paying her to represent him.
Okay.
Her phone buzzes. Bzz. She looks, and it's a text, well, allegedly a text from Kelly Packer. I have not seen this text. I need to make that clear. But according to West, it's a text from Kelly Packer, and it said, "If Jason West testifies, we will take Rule 20. So then Julie Hart, the lobbyist, replied and said, "This seems a lot like retaliatory legislation to me." And the Kelly Packer reply came back, and it said, and this is a quote which I got directly from a text. It says, her answer was, "The legislation is totally retaliatory." In other words, at this point, Kelly Packer is saying, you will do what I tell you to do. You will act as I tell you to act, and you will back away, or we will put you out of business.
Now, back on the 10th, she's, and this is an email from Kelly Packer to Dr. West, and she said, and I'm highlighting just one little part of it, your business practices do not need to change. You're not in jeopardy. She's telling him that.
Yeah, and then she went on and explained, you have Rule 20. Yeah. Don't you worry.
Don't you worry about a thing.
Now, here she has made an absolute threat, and we need to talk about what this really is. Does she have a right to do this? And the fact of the matter is, we have something called the First Amendment. And the First Amendment says that we have the right to speak whatever we want to speak. It says that we have the right to approach our government and ask them for a redress of our grievances. And Kelly Packer says that doesn't apply here.
Yeah. And the implication of the First Amendment is without retaliation, without putting your life on the line, so to speak.
Well,
if I want to redress to my government, I'm not supposed to have them retaliating just because I'm trying to right
exactly
the
right.
wrong.
He had that right, but it goes even deeper than that, Ralph. The Declaration of Independence talks about natural rights, and these are God-given rights that predate all of government, predate the Idaho Constitution, and certainly predate our current representation. And among these natural rights are the right of property. Okay, West's clinic is his property. West's credentials are his property that he has bought and paid for. And to violate natural rights is certainly, in my estimation, more severe, more heinous than violating even a constitutional principle. Because wise men, inspired of God, gave us the Constitution. But God himself gave us these natural rights. Nobody gets to take those away.
Okay. All right, so now she has actually, it has been established that she has said, yes, we're going to retaliate. If you don't back off, we're going to retaliate. And you're going to be out of business.
That's right.
Paraphrasing.
That's right.
Okay, let's go on then.
Okay. So that threat occurred on the 16th. Immediately after receiving that, West's lobbyist, Julie Hart, elbowed him and said, look at my phone. Can you believe this crap?
Yeah.
And she said, you've got to stand up right now when you testify, and you need to go on the record, and you need to let this committee know that you were just threatened by a legislator. And so he did. He stood up and he said, a legislator just threatened me that if I testify here today before you, they are going to take away Rule 20. And he said, he closed it by saying, this is for all the marbles. So here we go. He's been threatened. He stood up anyway. And the crazy thing is 2 days later, on March 18th, according to the minutes of the House Health and Welfare Committee, Fred Wood passed the gavel to Kelly Packer. Said, you run the show for a minute, because I'm going to stand up, and here's what I'm going to do. He presented a resolution, RS 23876, to the committee. Packer was at the gavel running the things. They approved it, and this RS 23876, let's see, I'll get the quote from you right here, was a proposed resolution that rejects a scope of practice rule of the State Board of Chiropractic Physicians. Now, Rule 20 starts out, and it identifies itself as a scope of practice rule for chiropractic physicians. That's the only part of the chiropractic code that is identified that way. So here they are. On the 16th, we are threatening you. We are going to hurt you. And on the 18th, they made good on that threat.
Now, let me make sure I understand what you just gave me. Hart, Dr. Hart, who is the chairman, says...
Whoa. Fred Wood, the chairman.
Oh, Fred Wood. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, Fred Wood. He says, I'm stepping away from the chair. Kelly, you're in charge because you're the vice. And then he goes out in front of the committee and presents his case.
Right.
And to her, his vice.
Right.
Gee, there's no collusion or anything here, is there? It seems kind of like a stacked deck.
Well, something is going on. Something incredibly sinister is going on here. And it's frightening, because what we see legislators who say, it's my way or I will hurt you.
Yeah.
That can't be allowed. Yeah. It's got to stop.
Now, in spite of that, in spite of this very, it's not even implied, this is an implicit threat, Dr. West stands tall. He testified.
He did.
And it's interesting to me, and hopefully to you also at home, that in doing so, even though he was representing himself, he's representing everybody in the state who practices chiropractic and or naturopathic medicine. So he's the guy standing in the docket, but he's really shouldering a big load.
Actually, it's bigger than that.
Yeah.
Well, he is representing the entire chiropractic, naturopathic industry.
Yeah.
But he is also representing you and me.
Well, that's true.
Because we may someday, if we're not already, want to seek out the services of a naturopath or a chiropractor and get the kind of health care that we want, that we think is best.
And I have to tell you, and as an aside, I am a believer in some nature. As an aside, several years ago, my cholesterol was through the ceiling. My practitioner put me on statin, and I wasn't crazy about statins. They're not good. You don't want to be on those. I read an article again in the Wall Street Journal about a naturopathic, if you will, a homeopathic method of treating cholesterol that's purely natural, no statins or anything else. I decided to try it based on the article I had read in the journal. I took myself off of the statins, and I told my physician I was doing that. I said, I don't like these things. I'm scared of them anyway. I'm going to try this other thing. He said, well, all right, let's try it for 3 months, and then I want you to do another blood test. 3 months later, I went in using this naturopathic method.
Sure.
And my cholesterol is right where it's supposed to be. Even with the statins, they weren't able to get it where it's supposed to be. And now I'm using this. So that's an aside, but it shows that just regular folks can receive benefits from this. So he's standing tall for everybody.
Well, and the thing is, why would we ever close a door on any science?
Absolutely.
Whether it comes out of the lab or out of the forest or wherever. You know, it's crazy to do that. So anyway, continuing, I guess, on the same day that Fred Wood got his resolution approved, Julie Hart, who you may recall is the lobbyist in the employ of Jason West, sent him a text, and I do have a copy of this. And by the way, if you go to lanceearl.com, that's LANCEEARL.com, you will find this article, and you will find links to every piece of evidence that we've talked about.
It's just that simple. I looked them up.
Don't trust me. Go read these. I have the emails and I have the text. But anyway, on this day, Julie Hart sent a text to Dr. Jason West, and it said, and I quote, "This is retaliation." Now she's speaking of Kelly Packer's threat. She said, "This is retaliation. It's ridiculous. You need to talk to press about this. Here is Kim Crucey's cell number." Now, Kim Crucey is a reporter with the Associated Press. So on this date, Jason West's lobbyist is livid about what Kelly Packer did. She's telling him, go on the record, let the world know, because this has got to be brought out.
And this woman is, Kim Crucey is an Associated Press who covers Idaho politics. So she's a good person to go to.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. According to Jason West, the next day or day after that, I don't recall, but just a day or two later, this same lobbyist called him up and said, "Don't say a word. Don't tell."
Hart said this.
Julie Hart, the lobbyist, said, "Don't say a word about this. Keep it under your hat." That's weird.
That's very weird.
That's very weird. We start to get some understanding of why she may have done that, because now this is some time later as I'm running down the story. This was on or about May 25th. I telephoned Julie Hart, and I asked her about these texts, and she said no comment. I asked her if she would please send them to me, and she said no comment. And I said, I have your text where you actually have told the world that she did threaten him, that he needs to take it to the press. Why no comment now? And she said, I really respect Kelly Packer. She went from livid and outrage to respect and protecting. I don't know what happened, but I have to ask the question, what did happen? Why the 180-degree turn?
A valid question, valid.
And, you know, closed-door deals, I don't know. I'm not making any accusations. Was somebody threatened? Was somebody offered something? I don't know. But a 180-degree turnaround, that was, I just know that was influenced by something that was dark.
And this is where, and this is after you have documentation documenting these other events.
Yes.
So it's not like this is just supposition on your part, like you're making it up. You have it in black and white. Here, it's right off the email. You said this. And now all of a sudden she's pals. She has all kinds of respect for Kelly Packer.
She's pals.
You have to understand, you have to wonder what in the world happened?
Well, what I can tell you is this. I mean, you think about doing business as a lobbyist. The only way you can be successful is if you can go in and talk to the legislators.
Right.
So what happens if your name is blackballed?
Which is a very real possibility.
You know, so I again, I'm not making accusations, but it seems to me that Julie Hart at this point was worried more about her own interests than she may have been about those of her paying client.
Now, have you had an opportunity, now she said no comment, have you had an opportunity to follow up with Dr. West and see if he has any understanding of what happened here, or is he through with this now? What's happening?
He has a huge, we've spoken about this. It's a giant question mark. But I don't want to speak for him, but I do think that he is very confused by this, because how can hiding and covering up constitutional violations of this magnitude be good for anybody?
Yeah.
And especially the one who was threatened. And I should mention that Fred Wood has already stated that this isn't over. He's coming back to this next session. So he is, at least there's some determination. So Dr. West, the other chiropractors, naturopaths, and all of the people of Idaho are still in jeopardy.
Is there, to your knowledge, is there any effort afoot for the homeopathic practitioners and the chiropractors to form a pack or whatever's necessary to address this as a group, rather than just one soldier going forward?
I don't know what's going on inside the community. I can tell you that inside the Liberty Movement, I am hearing from lots of people. People who are with the John Birch Society, people who are with the Republican Liberty Caucus, people who are just ticked off because they like and love freedom and think that maybe it's worth saving. Yeah. And so there are some actions being taken. I can tell you I will be part of some planning meetings that will be coming up in the near future. And this is not going to go away. I believe that Kelly Packer must be removed from office permanently. And here's something else that I found really troubling. I live in District 28. Kelly Packer is my representative.
As she is mine.
And Kelly Packer has a duty and an obligation to be accountable to me. So just a day or two after talking with Julie Hart and being told no comment, I did telephone Kelly Packer. Now she doesn't take my calls. They always go to voicemail, and that's been ongoing for a very long time. But I left a voicemail there, and I told her that I was running this story, and in fairness, I wanted to give her an opportunity to speak out and to share her comments, and that I would include her statement in my story. Well, she didn't answer to me, but she has a duty and obligation to answer to me. She instead went somewhere.
Underground.
Yeah, and the question I would ask is, do we really want this from our representatives?
Well, here's an interesting, Kelly Packer has she's only been in office now, well, going on 2 years. I think she's up for re-election, if I'm not mistaken, in November. Is she due again? I think it's
at the next primary, it'll be 4 years, because this is her second term.
Okay, now this is one of the reasons I was kind of eager to get this out here, was because we've seen this with Kelly Packer in other issues. An issue that I saw it the first time really up close. Now, I had seen it when she was the chairwoman for the Bannock County Republican Party. I saw the way she operated with the old guard and the usual suspects, as I refer to them. She pontificated at the reorganization and basically shut down any opposition to her and her buddies. And then I saw it later when the issue came up on the Add the Words campaign. And Kelly Packer was quoted in a newspaper in northern Idaho, or I guess it was in Oregon, a newspaper just across the border in Oregon, where she was quoted as being in support of Add the Words and in support of the so-called gay lobby. Well, a number of people here locally contacted her and said, wait a minute, you told us that you were pro-family, and now you're saying that you're going to support this, and it's obvious that this is not pro-family in the traditional sense, and what's going on? At that time, she said, oh, I was misquoted. Oh, okay, you were misquoted. So what really did happen? Well, that was a misquote, and I didn't say those things. And so someone locally, a few people, contacted the reporter who wrote the story, and the reporter said, absolutely. I paraphrased what she said. There was more. That was only the tip of it. And so this is a pattern that we see with Kelly Packer that is disturbing, because she is obviously willing to use her position and her authority to beat down anybody who opposes her,
well,
or to help those who are helping her.
And what I have seen a lot of times is she takes positions. We can look at the healthcare exchange.
Yeah.
We can look at this horrible bill that she pushed through just this year, which, by the way, if any of you out there have hearing impaired children and you take them to a doctor's office and use sign language to interpret for your own child, you will be committing a crime under Idaho code. You know,
that is one of the craziest things I've ever heard.
These kind of things have happened. Representative Packer has time and time again been seen carrying water for Bedke, for Wood, for Butch Otter, but she never carries water at home.
Yeah.
And I am just disgusted. I'm tired of this kind of representation, because I'm not being represented, not in any way, shape, or form.
Well, it was interesting to me during this whole business with the exchange, where she is on the board, as I recall.
She is.
And I quite frankly, I expected her to wind up heading that board, because she's pushing all the right buttons with the right people to take care of her career. But she does not take criticism well. And a number of people in this community took her to task, because she had promised us that she was not going to be part of that cabal, that she was going to represent us, that she was going to protect us. And then the minute she got into office, she became part of the problem, not solving the problem, but being part of the problem. Everything she said and everything she continues to say, she talks out of both sides of her face. And this is not, we here in southern Idaho, southeastern Idaho, in spite of what you may be seeing in the paper and all that, we're actually a pretty conservative bunch.
Sure,
conservative in old-fashioned values, family values, values that are community-oriented. And we don't take well to being lied to. We don't take well to being manipulated. And quite frankly, I think that has been a pattern of her conduct, lying and manipulating.
It has. And this is, I follow the legislature very closely.
Yeah.
And I write about it quite often. And one of the things that I find very frustrating is I can reach out to, I don't want to start naming them because I'll miss one, but there are legislators all over the state, in the Panhandle, in different cities, in different districts, on the other side of the state. And I can call these people and I can ask them questions. And you know what they do? They call me back. They report to me, and they don't even have to. They are really ultimately obligated to the people in their districts. In 2 years' time, Representative Packer has not returned a phone call. She does not represent the people of this district. Not at all.
Let's tell people where they can view your writing once again. Tell them where they can get hold of you.
Yes, please. www.dallypost.com. When you get there, I just lied to you. www.lanceearl.com.
Yeah, and that's an easy one, because I went to it today, and I'm not really computer savvy. It took me right to it. I was able to pick up the links right away, so I know that works.
This is the lead story. The links are there. You can see all the evidence. And the one thing that I would like to make very clear to everyone, we sit back, we scratch our heads, we say, this is not good, this is not right, somebody should do something. That somebody is you. Folks, that somebody is you. Contact me through my website. Contact Ralph here and say, I want in. And we will engage you in this effort.
We'll certainly point you in the right direction.
Yes, we will. We need your help.
Lance, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate your investigating this. This took a lot. This puts you in a very difficult position, and I appreciate your courage, your standing tall, and being willing to do this. I hope we see that in the Idaho State Journal. We'll see.
I hope so too. Thanks, Ralph.
God bless you, my friend. Have a safe journey home.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, we have, I'm glad you had an opportunity to see that. I've been wanting to, I teased you about it last week, and I hope it lived up to your expectations. This kind of thing takes an extraordinary amount of energy and talent and courage, and all of which Lance Earl has in abundance. So we'll be seeing more on that. Now, I have something. Last week at the program, as we were ending it, I ran out of time. We're talking about doing things for the community. As you know, Grace Lutheran Church is about to break ground for a new high school. And so last week I started a message that we had from Pastor Jonathan Dinger, who's the senior pastor at Grace Lutheran Church. He will be the headmaster of the new high school. And we have this little DVD to kind of tell you what's going on and bring you up to date. So, Josh, are we good? Please watch this.
Or you want a lot of service opportunities, or you want your kid to be able to be in the choir and play basketball. If you want a school, to be very honest, that has a very high bar and will offer a tremendous amount of college preparation and opportunity, that's not possible here in Pocatello. It's just not offered. And so we were approached by members of our community who have discovered that recruiting faculty, business professionals to our area is difficult. When they come from outside of the area and they say, well, where's your private high school? And the answer is, well, we don't have one. And for them, they don't care if you tell them that Highland's awesome and Century and Pokey are awesome. That what they want is that other option. Not everyone, but there's a certain group of people. And so we were finding businesses, professionals, people were turning down opportunities to move and relocate here because of that lack. So we were approached. And at that point I said, well, that's great, but we need you to help us. So ISU has been very, very helpful in helping us develop dual enrollment experiences, and so we're working in a partnership with them. And we did have a $1 million lead gift to help us get it going, and that was a catalyst to say we can do some things. So that's why.
So it has been a team approach. Nothing that we do here is a singleton. We all work together as a team. So we've established a steering committee that was well led. We had a great leader of our steering committee, organized into various task groups that dedicated their time looking at what our curriculum might look like, and what our offerings might look like, and what our building should look like, and how we're going to pay for all of this. And we worked very hard for many, many months prior to really formalizing this out into the public to say this is what our plans, our potential plans could be. We continue to work as different subcommittees, making sure that we have the right pieces of the puzzle in place at the right times. So each of these task groups continues to meet and make sure that we're ready when that launch date comes, that we're ready to go.
Do you know when it is?
We are shooting for fall of 2016 for our first class that would be part of Grace Lutheran High School. It's a building process, so we'll start with a 9th grade class and then add progressively year by year.
Where is it going to be at?
So the campus will be, or the building will be located on the west end of our campus. We have a great frontage to I-15, and we wanted to be able to create a building that would be attractive to not only our current students that would be graduating as 8th graders looking to start as 9th graders, give them a separate type of an experience so that they didn't feel like they were in the same building for 10 or 12 years. But also then attract new students as well that would be coming to a new building, and they'd have the great, latest and greatest of classrooms and gymnasium and all of the great things that will be in this new building.
It's very unusual for one church to be able to sponsor a full functioning high school with concert choir and theater and science labs and basketball and soccer and volleyball. So we need some help. To be very frank, we want to open up the doors to the community May 30th, Saturday, May 30th. I want to have some refreshments. I don't know, root beer floats and bratwurst bites, and just invite people to come in and give us a chance to say we're just really excited. We want to share with you what we're doing. We want to show you where the building will be. We'll have renderings and drawings. We'll be able to show people what it will look like. We think it'll be a facility the community will be proud of. Because of our visibility, we take seriously that what we build should be a credit to our community, not just build the cheapest thing or something junky, but that it ties together, and that it gives a beautiful face to the broader community.
Kind of time sensitive, and we did have that the root beer floats and brats, and you may recall on that date we got that I don't even know what you'd call it. It was not quite a tornado, but we got that tremendous windstorm came through, blew everything apart. That was for the 5 o'clock meeting. We were at the 5 o'clock meeting, and we couldn't stay. I mean, we had to get in our cars and flee for our lives. And so I got 2 bites of brat and a bit of a milkshake or a black cow before we had to get out of there. But so I wanted to bring you up to date a little bit on what's going on with the school. We're very excited about that. This is going to be a rigorous education. There's not going to be any baloney. We're not going to be doing it's none of this business. We're counting how many seats are in the seats for federal tax purposes. This is a private enterprise, and so that means they have to make it pay. And by doing so, they can demand a more rigorous curriculum and truly prepare our young people to go on to university. You know, one of the biggest problems today is getting young people, when they go to the university, they have to retrain them. They have to give them their last year or so of high school to get them up to speed just to go to community college or their first year of university. This high school will be college prep in the true sense of the word. And it won't be for everyone, but for those who partake of it, it's going to provide a very, very adequate education. Well, we're running out of time here, and I just want to tell you now, remind you that you will see if you want to recommend this program to a friend, or you want to watch it again. It airs again at noon on Sunday, so you can watch this program again at noon on Sunday. Next Wednesday, I am planning to share an interview that was given with Lillig Shubat. Lillig Shubat is a former Palestinian terrorist who is now a Christian, and he will explain why the Muslims want to kill us and why they are jihadist, and from his point of view as having been raised in the Muslim faith and trained to be a jihadist. I think you will find it to be a fascinating program. You will only see me for a brief moment. The program will be entirely with Dr. Shubat Walid. So in the meantime, don't forget to tune in for Aaron Hayes, Sundays at 5 on Channel 64, the same channel I'm on. In the meantime, God bless you and yours. Have a good, safe week. We hope to see you again very soon. God bless you. Good night.